Greetings, everybody. Welcome back to Parks with AP. And happy 4th of July, happy Independence Day, happy America 250, and happy 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. And I was looking through my footage, looking for the perfect way to commemorate America 250, and I decided on what we're looking at here. This is George Washington Birthplace National Monument, not to be confused with Mount Vernon or even the Ferry Farm in Fredericksburg. We are deep in the northern neck of Virginia. You really gotta, if you want to visit this site, you really gotta want to be going there, as I wanted to when I got this footage. Now, you guys, if you follow my channel, you know I like to show off or showcase lesser known sites that people either don't even know about to begin with or haven't been to, at least as less known as a national park site can be in general. And straight ahead, you guys might start to recognize something. It looks a little similar to a monument that sits in the middle of Washington, D.C. I'll wait a little longer. But again, if you were here in the northern neck of Virginia, I'll fill up a map for you guys. This is a 551 acre national park site. And here we are. Now you can see the obelisk dedicated to George Washington's birthplace. This is a perfect 1/10 replica of the National Monument, the Washington Monument in Washington, D.C. And here, just a cut here to give you a closer look. This land was originally settled by John Washington, who was George's great-grandfather, in 1664. So if you're talking American history, it doesn't go back much further than a site that started in 1664. And here's the only shot of myself that you will see today. I might as well get out of the way now. If at the end you think I deserve it and you enjoyed this tour, you want to hang out with me at future park sites, history sites, go ahead and give me a subscribe or a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. So we are now going around that little roundabout that we entered, and we are going towards the parking lot where the visitor center is here. And we'll fast forward a little bit. Might as well cut a couple seconds out. Here is the visitor center. Not a whole lot going on in there. You do have, your little park film that pretty much every national park site has. Better look at the visitor center here. As you can see, it is a smaller building, one of the smaller NPS visitor centers I've been to, but there is some information in there to get you going on your way and to learn about the Washington family. And of course, I had to get my stamp for my national park passport. I am absolutely obsessed with this thing, and I love always getting a new stamp. Now, we are now in the backside of the visitor center, and that is Pope's Creek that the site sits on, and tons of walking and hiking trails at this site. Again, 551 acres, and it's pretty much open. You can go wherever you want on the site. And these are the things you can expect. Little walking trails, interpretive signs throughout the trails. So you can go here for exercise, bring the grandkids, the kids, or if you're a solo traveler and just want to learn some history, it's perfect for you as well. I am hopping the fence here. Not exactly sure if I'm supposed to be doing that or not, but I wanted to get this beautiful view of Pope's Creek, and just to give you an idea of the type of landscape that the Washington family property was sitting on. And check this out, across the creek. This was cracking me up. Look at that private residence. It almost looks abandoned now, but imagine your backyard just being where George Washington was born. Pretty crazy. So there's another beautiful look at the water here. And now here is the house. Now this is a memorial house. This is not the house George Washington was born in. That house, as a lot of historic homes do, burned down, I believe, in the 1790s. So it is well gone, but here's a nice garden, memorial garden. It's the type of thing you find in a lot of these Virginia or Maryland, Pennsylvania area type plantations. Another look at the memorial house. This was built in the early 1930s to commemorate the site. Designed and built by a women's friends group. And to be honest with you, it's not even a replica of what the house would have looked like. It's just an idea of what houses, colonial era houses in this area looked like at the time. So it's kind of nice that it's there. It's a landmark. It gives you something to look at, but it can be a little misleading if you don't have the info. Now, this is the really interesting thing. And I'm actually going to pause here so we can look at this longer. This is the foundation of the home that George Washington was born in 1732. The foundation of the original home was discovered. It is right next to where the memorial home is now. And to preserve it, they actually found it, excavated it, reburied it, and now the outline of the foundation can be seen. And I believe this is with oyster shells, so a very unique way to use the Virginia Northern Neck area on the water. We are using oyster shells to outline the foundation. I'll click play here again of George Washington's birthplace. So very interesting. This is the original farm lane that you would have used to enter the plantation. This was a tobacco farm for many, many, many years. And we are looking straight to the obelisk right now. So the house is behind us and the obelisk is in front of us. And one of my favorite parts about walking the original farm lane was seeing these beautiful cows just out and about. You see the visitor center there behind that first cow. And so this is just, again, you want to bring your kids out. There's a lot going on here at the farm to check out for everybody. But we are now back in the car in front of the visitor center. We have completed touring the main portion of the National Memorial here. But again, like I said, 551 acres. We have plenty more to see, so we're going to go check out some more of the park here. Just so you know, if you do come visit the site, they are very serious about their 5 p.m. closing time. I even witnessed that gate starting to get closed on me at 4:58. I was trying to get every second I could of getting this footage. So just so you guys know, if you do come to visit, don't get trapped in the parking lot. 5 o'clock means 5 o'clock. But we are now back in this roundabout or traffic circle, depending on what part of the country you're from. And right here to the right, you will see the original farm lane that we were just walking on with the cows. So again, this is how back in the day you would have entered the plantation to visit the Washington family. Right there, the original farm lane. So we're going to get on with our tour, and we're going to make this next right to go visit the Washington Family Cemetery. Now, George Washington himself is not buried here, born here, not buried here. He, of course, is buried at his home in Mount Vernon, but there are some very, very prominent members of the Washington family who are buried here, and we will be with them shortly. But right here to the right, you'll see the 1700s era ice pond. Still around today. Pretty incredible. Get a better look for you here. Back in colonial America, families, settlers, they would have these ice ponds where in the wintertime this freshwater source would freeze, and then they would store the ice underground to use year-round, or at least as long as it would stay frozen. So pretty interesting landmark, if you will, of the original plantation that still exists. We got a little bit of a drive here, but I'm just going to let it play so you guys can see the beauty of the National Memorial here down, again, deep in rural Virginia. This is the Northern Neck, a very beautiful part of the country, and soon we will even have a beautiful view of the Potomac River. That's where we're heading after the cemetery. But just to give you guys some more fun facts on our way, again, 1664, George Washington's great-grandfather, John Washington, settled on the property. It used to be a lot bigger, but it is now 551 acres. George Washington was born here in 1732. By 1815, not even 100 years later, the property was in disarray, pretty much abandoned, and George Washington's adopted grandson visited the site well after the Revolutionary War. George Washington was no longer alive, and he placed the first original little stone marker where he believed the house to be. So because of that, we had an idea of how to create the park that we now have today. In 1858, the state actually did acquire the land to preserve it and create a park out of it. But if you're a history person, what happened shortly after 1858? Of course, the American Civil War. So Virginia was not worried about creating a park for George Washington once the Civil War started. In 1882, it was transferred to the War Department of all places. In 1896, that obelisk at the front, originally placed where the Memorial House is now, was placed, and then in 1930 the National Monument became official with help from the Rockefeller family to purchase more of the ground, so we can have this beautiful park that we have today. So there's some fun facts for you, and we're actually going to get out of the car now to visit and tour the cemetery, and this is a part of the video that I actually did the audio for on location. So we will now time travel back in time to my past self.
And we'll finish off our tour here walking in to the Washington Family Cemetery. First, this is actually the site where George's great-grandfather John built the first house on the property. Would have been there in front of us, and the burial ground was much closer to the house than the house I was talking about earlier. You know, as time goes on, families expand and land purchases expand. Now, George is not buried here. Most of you probably know George is buried with his wife at Mount Vernon. But there are some pretty high up members of the Washington family that are buried right here. What a beautiful little family cemetery, by the way. Right here we have the grave of Lawrence Washington. This is George's grandfather. And then George's father, Augustine, as well as his wife. Looks like that's Jane. And his grandfather's wife, it looks like, was Mildred. So, if you want to get close to the Washington family, it really doesn't get any better than the George Washington is a National Birthplace Monument, I believe. I probably messed that up, but it doesn't get much closer than this. Again, George Washington's grandfather and George Washington's father. And we'll sign off today with a nice view of the site.
Okay, we are back in the car leaving the parking lot for the Washington Family Cemetery. And as promised, we are now heading to the Potomac River. So again, the water we saw, it was a big creek, but it was still labeled a creek. The water we saw earlier, Pope's Creek. We are now heading to the Potomac River. People, when they hear Potomac River, they usually think, DC or the canal heading up through western Maryland and West Virginia. But obviously, the Potomac River does dump into the Chesapeake Bay, or come from the Chesapeake Bay. I'm not sure the direction, to be completely honest with you. I'm not a water guy. But it does come all the way down to this part of Virginia as well. And we're about to get an absolutely stunning view of a beach here on the Potomac River, here on the Washington family property. And as we start to close here, I want to thank you guys so much for joining me again. If you feel that I'm worthy and you want to check out some more historic sites with me, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I got a bunch of stuff there for you to see. And I'll sign off here. Enjoy these beautiful views, and thanks again for joining me. And I hope you all have a fabulous Independence Day, 4th of July weekend.